You're not invisible. Your book might be. If people aren't buying from you, it's not because you're unnoticed. It's because your book isn't showing up where the people that you wrote the book for are looking. In fact, they probably don't even know that they need to look for it. So let's change that. Hi, my name's Steve Key. I am a third generation minister, international best-selling author of 40 books and counting. I've had the amazingly wonderful privilege over the course of the last literally almost 40 years of working with people as a marketing expert, helping them not only just write, publish, market their books to bestseller, everything that goes beyond that, but all the other things that go into your being visible and valuable. That's what marketing ultimately all really boils down to, and all is do you have a methodology in place for you to be visible and valuable for the people that that really want, need, are looking for, maybe even in some cases are demanding exactly who you are and what you do. But let's be honest, if we don't put our stuff where they are, they're not going to find it. People aren't going out and knocking on doors and going, hey, do you happen to have this, whatever that thing is you do, so I can get some. I remember, this is a lot of years ago. I mean, my son was junior high school at the time, and he had real aspirations, and he's written some pretty interesting books now. But back then he had some real aspirations. He wanted to be a screenwriter for movies, and we were trying to teach him. He was homeschooled, and we were trying to teach him. It's like, okay, yes, but you've got to do the things so that the book goes to the people that turn, or the manuscript or the script, to the people who are the ones that turn those things into movies. I've since, and this was after my son graduated and been in the military, just before he got married, and started having children of his own. Congratulations, he's got a third one on the way now. But I worked with a gentleman named Randy Becker. Randy started out as an actor, moved from his acting career to being an agent for mostly for screenwriters. And what he told me in a conversation him and I were having, might have even been an interview I was doing, it might have just been one of the conversations him and I had. What he told me was, here's the thing, as an agent for writers, I'm going into the studios sometimes every day, definitely every week. And I know that about 1 out of every 100 pitches gets picked up, and now that's increased a little bit now that we have all of the different streaming services, from Apple TV to YouTube to, not so much YouTube, because YouTube, anyway, there are some of the things on that, but Prime Videos, those kind of things. But he said, here's the thing, if 1 out of 100 still are the ones that are getting picked up, he goes, if I'm pitching 100 different scripts over the course of a month or a couple of months, I'm going to sell a movie. He goes, but if you as the writer only have one script, how much are you, how likely are you going to be to get that script picked up? Okay. And what he actually had transitioned his company to doing was literally teaching screenwriters how to be able to become their own agents. And one of the big things he taught was knowing who you're writing to and knowing what they want. Now, I want you to really hear that, because that's absolutely important. And it is the difference between that feeling that you may have of being invisible and actually really truly being visible and valuable. First of all, you got to know who you're writing to. Okay, you got to know who that person is. And all too often we're like, yeah, well, it's for this and this and this, or, well, this is something that everybody should do. Okay. I did a radio interview with a guy, recorded one yesterday with a guy, and I agree legitimately with him that, the health stuff that he's working with and some of the, tests actually, it was pretty cool because they actually do some testing along with all of the health and exercise stuff that they do. It's one of the best 360 kind of situations that I've really heard of. When do I get out? No, I stay at home and work all the time. That's the advantage of living in the middle of nowhere and having it be a 30-minute drive to the grocery store. I never go anywhere. No, but seriously, as him and I were talking about that whole concept of his health thing, I was reminded again of that whole concept of focus because absolutely, I can tell you from the discussion, it's something that literally every single person in the world could join his program and would benefit from it. But his specialty is especially men, and especially those that are over the age of 40 or 50, right in that range, 40 to 50-year-old, and especially the ones that used to be athletic and now are finding their energy level being really waning and stuff. And by identifying that specific, he then can talk specifically to that person. Okay. It's like if you and I, here I am right now, I'm live, and I can specifically reply to the comment Don just made. And we have a lot of people now that we're both in portrait as well as landscape format that'll pop in, and some of them are really interested in what we're saying, and we've had a few people that are having fun, and that's fine too. I can talk specifically to Don, and I can say, "Hey, Don, how you doing today? I'm really glad to have you here with us. And I really would like to know if there's anything I could do to help you feel and be more visible and valuable." You see, that's a specific conversation, even though it's a very generic concept, something that I have done with literally thousands of people. It's very specific. When we know who specifically we're talking to, see, our 3 C's, right? Sometimes you think I've forgotten them. I never do. Clarity, consistency, connection. In order to connect consistently, you need to be clear who you're connecting with. When we try to talk to everybody, we end up really talking to no one. And we end up making little to no impact because we're just trying to make sure we appeal to everybody. And the truth of the matter is that no matter how universally needed it is, the conversation is going to be different. So let's talk about, say, for example, a mom. All right. Now, motherhood is a huge concept because, my mom's 87 years old and I'm her youngest son. I'll be 59 in less than a month now. Okay. But she still also sees me as her baby. Okay. Universal kind of concepts of motherhood and caring for your children and those kind of things. There's always a possibility whenever I'm talking about my mom on a live that she may be watching, or she may come back and watch it later. Okay. But her life as a mom is very, very different from when my oldest brother, who just turned 66, was a brand new baby. Her first baby. She never had a baby before. I mean, she had younger siblings. She was the oldest daughter. So, it wasn't like she had never seen or heard or been around a baby at all. But, it was her first baby. And all those things, and those of you that are moms, you totally understand what I'm talking about. In fact, I've often joked, and I've seen other people joke on it, so it's not just me. With the first baby, every time they inhale, you're like, Is the baby okay? Right? By the time you get to about the third baby, the baby goes rolling down the stairs and you're kind of like, it's like that one commercial I saw. They're like, Mom, I fell. It's like, okay, well, get a Band-Aid, but I'm bleeding. Okay, well, then get two, because she's spending time with a cat, which, is a little bit hilarious. But, it's like that. But that first time. And so when you're talking to that brand new first time mom who is like a cat in a room full of a long-tailed cat in a room full of rocking chairs, just like, everywhere, versus, that mom who, their kids are in high school, versus that mom whose children are all grown and married. And maybe she's living by herself like my mom did for a while. Those are all different. It doesn't make any of them any less a mom. But when we talk to them, we want to talk about their specific circumstances. Okay, now I may have gone a little long on that, but does that really help you clarify how clearly you need to know who you're talking to? And you could have something that universally, the brand new just brought the baby home the other day, like Judy did with her new little baby. You could be talking to her, or you could be talking to the 87-year-old mom with grown children who are kind of now taking more role reversal, taking care of her. And you can have a product that's available for all of them. But when you're talking to them, when you're marketing to them, you want to talk specifically. That clarity is absolutely powerful. And that's what's going to create that connection. And that becomes the difference between you being visible and valuable. Okay. And so then when we move forward to our book, because mostly what I do is work with authors and help them with the marketing of their book. Okay. And we can make a book a bestseller. Bestseller is a day one launch strategy. I have 100% success doing it. If your book isn't a bestseller, shoot me a DM. Let's get you to bestseller. It's really, what are you going to do about it after that? That's the plan. You got to have a marketing plan. So first you need to know who you're talking to, and then you need to know specifically what they need. And that's where, myself included, both hands up. Okay. And I got to tell you honestly, the last couple of books that I've done, I've really embraced this myself. Many of my first books were just me having a thought and putting it out there. Whether they land or not, really, I hate to say this, and it's horrible to acknowledge, but it's true. They really weren't based in the thought of how are they going to reach that person or what do they need. They were really just based on something that was on my heart, and I put it out into the world. Okay, now I know, because I've heard from enough people, that I know that it's resonated. And I know some of them also haven't, because I can look and see what the reviews say about it. So when we clearly know who we're talking to, and we clearly know what they need, then we make sure that our book covers that. But then we need to be visible. And visibility is something that absolutely, there's a plan for that. And you need to, hi, Practice Knife, glad to have you here with us. That's when you need to absolutely have a clear, consistent way to connect. Let that book, that message, that who that you are in the world really, truly, deeply, completely connect. And that's where we want to have a plan for you. That's where, you need to understand why your book matters more than your landing page, and why your book is really the real landing page, why visibility makes you valuable, and then how to use that visibility to be valuable to the person that you really wanted to help in a way that helps them move the needle a little bit, and then also allows you to be able to say, hey, and when you're ready for it, I would love to help you with more. Those are the kind of things that are going to make the difference. The algorithm hides your book because you didn't do those first things, which means that you also don't have a marketing plan. I can tell that within a couple of minutes. In fact, DM Amplify Review. Let me take a look at your book. I'll tell you specifically, here's the things that you need in SEO. Here's the things I would suggest categorically. You can do them yourself. That's fine. Or you can bring me in. Okay, and we can get you guaranteed real reader reviews. We can get exposure. I had the wonderful privilege this morning to get to send pictures to a couple of my authors of their books that are being placed. In one particular case, it was a school, and it was showing on the ledge of the school. We're really careful about not taking pictures of the children themselves. That's just really not an okay thing, to say, hey, and can I take a picture of your child? Yeah, we don't do that. But we can, show the school in the classroom. Another one, a different book, actually went into a children's physical therapy place. And I know that they were really thrilled about having that, because physical therapy is horrible enough, but then, to do it as a child. You see, it's those kind of things that move you from the algorithm hiding you to the algorithm working with you, especially if your book doesn't have the reviews. What people say about you is going to have more impact, honestly, than what you've said about yourself. Your description, as great as it is, and as much as it needs to have SEO in it and not just be words, is a fraction compared to what having a review, having somebody else say how great you are. We got to get that ranking. We've got to get the SEO fixed, and then the rankings. We got to get you visible, because then your book can be effective. So again, DM Amplify Review. Let's take a look at your book. Okay, I do these reviews for free. You can DM it. You can send me a comment here on the live when you're watching, live or on the replay. And let's get you visible. And I want to leave you with this thought. You're not really invisible. You just haven't been seen yet. So let's change that. Let's change it right now today. Okay? Thanks so much for joining me. I hope that you're happy, you're safe. Did somebody mention algorithm? I swear the moment that word pops up, I get vetted straight to the stream like reporting for duty humans, like the stream already. Well, Allie, glad to have you here with us, even though it says you're an AI. Yeah, we did definitely talk about the Amazon algorithm and stuff like that. Glad to have you here with us. If you really want to know how to be visible and valuable, DM the word amplifier, the words Amplify Review, and let's talk. And as I said, I hope you're happy, safe, warm, and loved. And then until we're together again tomorrow, and yes, I'll be here on Saturday. I am going to be a little later tomorrow because I do have a 12 o'clock appointment, but I'll be here tomorrow. And we're going to talk about how one small win today can change the entirety of this entire month of December, and how you could take action right now and have that impact you for the whole month. I know you're going to be interested in that, and I look forward to meeting with you again tomorrow. Until we're together again next time, which again is tomorrow, I hope you have a great week.